everybody here who's participating, listening, viewing, we really appreciate you being part of this. We haven't done a big event like this for a year, and I highly encourage you to take a lot of notes because the content you're going to get tonight is actual nuts and bolts stuff that you can use and should use right now. I mean, it's already January 17th, so we're 3 weeks, sorry, 2 weeks plus into the year, and in less than 2 weeks, this month is going to be over. So the subject is Conquer 2024. Sorry, that's the title. And the reason is what we're going to show you is going to help you conquer this year and increase what you've done last year and may have a much better year this year. We got great teachers tonight. All of them we know. Some of you are on the team, the Global Investor Agent team. Some are not. I recognize a lot of the names. Some are former students I taught years ago. But tonight we got starting off with John Giggy. John Giggy is a John Maxwell Master Coach, and I've known John for probably at least a decade. And he's in production still, so you're going to hear live from somebody who's everybody here is in production except for me. The key is with John, not only does he understand how to get himself motivated, he understands how to get you motivated. And I've seen it live in his production. When he needs to turn on the gas, he does, and it shows us some monstrous transactions. So the key is here with John is any of us can teach you the academics of producing with your real estate license, but it's not going to mean anything. It's not going to be as effective or productive unless you've got your head on straight. We call that the mind space or the mindset. So John's going to help you with some real live tips and pointers that we all use daily to get ourselves psyched up for the day. So next is going to be Shastine Bredlie. I've known Shastine probably just as long as John, and she's on our team, the Global Investor Agent team, and has the unique distinction of being top producer at least 2 of the last 3 years. That is really hard to do because we're in 38 states with over 100 people on our production team. So imagine that if you're on a team of 100 people and twice in 3 years, you're top producer. That's amazing. So in any case, she's building her own team in Vancouver, Washington, and you're going to want to hear from her and take notes. And also the last speaker is Gina Hanson. And I know Gina longest of all. I've known her since I started shaving, probably. I don't know. But Gina is the person who gave me my first real opportunity at speaking to real estate agents. And it was a packed house. She knows how to pack a room. And she's going to show you a technique tonight to help you get listings that's pretty much foolproof. And by the way, Gina was not only top 25% of CEOs in a large workers company here going back several years. She also is a Success Magazine coach. Success Magazine goes back 100 years. And there are very few of those coaches. It is a very unique, distinctive honor to have someone who's a success coach on. I don't know the numbers, but I know that there were fewer, at one point, fewer than 100 success coaches in the country. And you've got one on tonight, guys. So at the end, we will definitely stay on for Q&A. We also have some giveaways at the end, so make sure you stay tuned to the very end. Each of us has something to give you. On tonight's session, there's nothing to buy, nothing to sell, no recruiting. It's flat out, straight up education. So let's go ahead and kick this off. You guys ready? If you're ready, just do a clap, raise your hand, type in the chat box.
Yeah.
Whatever you want to do, let us know you're ready. All right. So John, if you want to go ahead and take from here, take it away, buddy. You're in control.
All right. Awesome. Well, welcome, everybody. I'm really excited about this event. There we go. And let's make adjustment here. Perfect. Awesome. So hello and welcome to today's mindset presentation. Please pull out your pen and papers and get ready to take notes because what I'm about to share with you is going to be life-changing, transformational. And also, please hold on to the end of the event because we're going to give away some awesome goodies that's going to help you conquer 2024. And trust me when I say that. So let's get started, shall we? All right, so there's going to be three things that I'm going to be talking about. One is mindset, two, the anatomy of a belief system, and three, thinking creatively to create leads. But more importantly, it's mindset. We need to get that out of the way. If we don't get that figured out, we're going to probably have some strives, have some successes, but you're never going to accomplish the goals that your heart desires to. So mindset is key in all this presentation and everything that we do. Stagnant mindset versus growth mindset. So what is mindset, first of all? Basically, in a nutshell, it's a mental attitude that determines how you're going to interpret and respond to certain situations. Now, a stagnant mindset is when your mind lies dormant, and meaning it's showing no activity, it's dull, it's sluggish. I'm not sure if you can relate to that. However, I can. I mean, there are times where my mindset is dull and sluggish, but here's what's cool. The good news here is that we can turn this around. So let's go over some characteristics of a sluggish or stagnant fixed mindset. Fear of failure is one of them. Afraid of taking risks. Lack of growth, absence of personal development. People don't put personal development plan in their lives. Deflecting, blaming external circumstances, things that are going on in the world, and they put blame and everything, the reason why they're not succeeding in their business because of something that's going on out there. Lack of goal setting, believe it or not. Very, very, like probably 95% of the people don't set goals. We have avoidance of challenges, preferring to stay in their comfort zones. We have closed into innovation. They resist to adopting new technologies, sticking to outdated practices. Personally, I fell into that. Complacency, complacent in their achievements, and they stop striving for improvement. Lack of resilience. They crumble in the face of setbacks, in the face when they face failures. Now, there have been 4 industrial revolutions, and they have played a huge part in shaping the way we think and the way we talk and the way we act. And the first revolution was factories, textiles. Now, prior to this period, largely people engaged in farming. The second industrial revolution was discoveries in science and technology, electricity, iron, steel, assembly lines, and more. And during this time, there's something that arose that was a big dilemma, and the thought leaders started to throw out warnings to us, and that was to teach the children how to think, not what to think. And unfortunately, the school system has played a huge part in this. And so that has been, and that continues till today. And then 2000s, 70s to the 2000s, television, computers, mobile devices, tablets, you name it, have become a commonplace in our household. And it's become a huge distraction. How many people have you seen where the children, the whole family is hanging around and under one roof, but then all the children are stuck on their electronic devices? I know my nephews are always on their mobile phones or they're on their games. And we always tried to tell them, hey, put that down, take a break and come in and hang out with us. Also, now we're here in the present, which is Industry 4.0. This is the economic and social changes that we're experiencing. AR, augmented reality, VR, virtual reality, AI, which is a huge one right now, artificial intelligence. If you're not taking advantage of ChatGPT right now to run your business, oh, you're missing out. Also, automation. Recently, I went into a Home Depot, and to go and make my purchase, I was looking for open register to find out that there were no live clerks. Every single station was an automated system designed for self-checkout. I was like, what's going on here? It was kind of scary at the same time, but it was also kind of interesting too. So that's kind of what's going on. We have growth mindset. So growth mindset refers to the belief that one's abilities and intelligence can be developed and improved. Now, I'm going to repeat that. It could be developed and it could be improved. That is good news for us. Here are some of the characteristics. Embracing challenges. They see challenges as opportunities to learn and grow. In fact, if you look at the word crisis in Chinese, it translates to opportunity, to turning point. So let's start looking at setbacks as opportunities, as turning points to take our business to another level. They adapt to changing circumstances. They insist on doing things differently, regardless of the circumstances. They view failures as a learning opportunity, right? Failing forward. You fail, you learn from it, you make the assessment, you re-engage, and you get back in there again. Taking risks. They are willing to take steps out of their comfort zone to try new things and try different things that you've never even tried before. Even if you say that probably not going to work, just try it. You never know. They're resilient in facing setbacks. And then last but not least, they understand the power of yet. And understand this, and I would take a picture of this, the power of yet. So what you're doing today is going to be realized. You just got to keep on putting in the work. You got people putting in the effort. Do what your coaches and your mentors are teaching you. Go out there. Obviously, it's been proven in their life. And so therefore, you're going to realize your goals, and it's going to come to fruition. Not yet, but it's going to happen. We have to have that attitude. So now we come to the belief system. So the belief system, there are 5, but mostly we know about 4, which is religion, philosophical, political, the cultural. Those are the 4 that we mostly know about that really causes a heavy influence in our lives and how we live, how we walk, and how we talk. However, the 5th and most important one is the mental belief system. And when I was doing a research on this, you go and do his research and you try to find this, there's very, very few information about a mental belief system being part of the systems. And it's kind of scary because this is the area where we really need to pay attention to. So that is the most powerful one, is the mental belief system. So let's break this down. This is how the mind works. An idea or a thought comes in, and conscious receives it, is receptive to it through your senses. Then what ends up happening is you accept that, and it creates this emotion. Emotion is energy in motion, puts you into action, creates results. Then you have victory. Then you get to celebrate. Well, most of the time this doesn't happen. Most of the time, because we have because of our belief system is not as strong as we want it to be, there is a gatekeeper that when an idea or thought comes in, your subconscious mind captures that. This gatekeeper, which is the amygdala, and I have a little model here, and right here is where that little almond shape is, in this area right here. This is the gatekeeper that is protecting you. It does us more harm than good, but this is where fight or flight takes place. When there's danger, immediately all the energy in your body, there's some certain organ shuts down, and then the energy goes to the extremities. Now, what happens is when an opportunity comes about, like for instance, somebody is saying, hey, I got an opportunity for you. Your amygdala says, wait a minute, danger, Will Robinson. And it's basically warning you and saying, no, don't take that. And then what's that word that comes out? What is the thought that automatically pops up? It's too good to be true. How many times we've experienced that? It's too good to be true. Well, that's the amygdala trying to protect you. And so what ends up happening is you hit a wall. They call it the terror barrier. And then once you hit that wall, then instead of going to action, you go to your comfort zone. You get stuck in the stuck zone in this little bubble, and then you always wonder why I can't get out of this. It's because of your belief system. But what happens is if we work on your belief system, and it's what I help my people that I coach, and you build that up, you change your stinking ways, you remove all that stinking thinking that's in your mind, and you change
I
that.
could have actually put this up on the screen, I guess.
If you can mute, appreciate that. Then you change the way you think. And then so what ends up happening is now that thought comes in, the idea, opportunity, or your mentor or coach says, this is what you have to do. This is the legwork that you're going to have to put in to go and get leads and build your business, instead of saying, oh, wait a minute, I don't know if I can do that, or if I have what it takes, or you question your worthiness. Then what ends up happening is that you build up your belief system to the point where now your subconscious mind says, yes, let's do this. We'll go ahead and accept that. And then you break through the terror barrier, and then you're able to rejoice. Now, pay attention to this part, because this is key, is that when awareness takes place, that is an aha moment that shakes your subconscious mind. And your subconscious mind has this impact and says, wait a minute, this is important, so we need to record this. So when you build up your belief system over here and you continue to build that up, and then you start teaching your subconscious mind to think differently, you start taking control of it. Then what ends up happening is the truth and belief get married together, or they get aligned. So the truth is that you're amazing. The truth is that you're awesome, that you're created for greatness, that you're an amazing lender or realtor or title rep or whatever, whoever's on here. You're amazing. You're awesome. But do you believe that? I know years ago, I didn't believe that. People will say, oh, John, you're so amazing. I didn't believe it. But it wasn't until I started building up my belief system, started changing the way I was thinking, then what ended up happening is now belief and truth started getting linked together. And then that's when belief now became the truth, and they were both in line with each other. And now I believed what was true about me. That's powerful. That's life-changing. That's transformational right there. So how do you change your stinking thinking? First, daily proclamations. Begin to teach your subconscious. Take control based on what you're learning right now. 40 bits of data is processed per second in the conscious, and 40 million bits of data is processed in your subconscious. And you start taking control of that, then you start taking the wheel, and you start leading yourself to where you need to go instead of other people, outside influences, and leading you. So daily proclamations, what are they? It's basically putting together statements, quotes, phrases, something that resonates with you. So like when I'm watching a movie, an inspirational movie, and they say something, and I jump up and I'm like, oh, I got to write, and I write it down, things like that. Or you're reading something and it jumps out at you, start collecting those, and then you package it all together, and you have this list of all these different things that basically you're proclaiming that to be true about you. Some people use affirmations. I know one time I'm a fire walker with Tony Robbins, and Tony Robbins said, he was talking about affirmations, and he was saying, I don't use affirmations. He says mantras. And there's a reason for that, because you're affirming things, which is great. And if you've been using them and they work for you, go for it. Keep on doing it. I use proclamations because you're proclaiming. And so when you are saying that, I'm proclaiming today this to be true, and then you say it out loud, you're teaching your subconscious. And then your subconscious starts to record all that. Then that becomes dominant, because negative words and positive words cannot coexist. They cannot share the same space. So once you start developing more positive reinforcement, it replaces all those negative words in your mind. Read books. But find books that's going to build up your belief system, something that's going to be relevant. If there's certain areas in your life that you face challenges with, then find a book that's relevant to that to help you out. And just know, readers are leaders and leaders are readers. And when you finish the book, I'm dyslexic, so I have a little challenge in reading. However, when I finish that book, man, I am fired up. I'm excited, and I experience breakthroughs. So breakthroughs leads to victories, and victories leads to great results. So be a reader. I know people listen to audios, or they listen to audiobooks, and keep on doing that. But there's something in picking up a book and writing notes in it and highlighting it. There's something that's magical that's happening in the subconscious. Be vocabulary conscious. As a mentor taught me, I was struggling, couldn't get past the threshold. I asked Les Brown, how can I get through? He was telling me, you got it through. And my other mentor said, you need to start changing the way you talk. And that's when I started identifying words can't, but, maybe, should, try, and started replacing those with the positive words, with the opposite words that are positive. And at first, it comes out and then you catch it. But then before you know it, you catch it before it comes out. And then later on, it becomes second nature. Now you're using these positive words, and it will change your life. Trust me on that. Change your sphere, change your environment, and then you change your habits. I created this acrostic, ABC. Avoid toxic people. A, immediately disconnect yourself from toxic people. They say, identify the 5 people that you hang out with, and then you average their income. That's how much money you're making. Or you average their thinking. That's how you're thinking. So disconnect yourself, isolate yourself from these toxic people. Now, there's toxic people in our families and our friends that we cannot isolate ourselves from. So create boundaries. That's B. And then C, connect with the people that have what you want, that already reached the levels that you want to go to, and hang on to their coattails and learn from them. Find mentors and coaches. Go to these events and go right up front. And as soon as the event is done, walk up to the speaker and say, hey, can I take you out to lunch? I've done that, and it's paid dividends for me. It's been amazing. It's been powerful. And last but not least, you're in control. You are the author. So it's time today. It's okay. If this is all becoming new to you, it's not your fault. But tomorrow it is going to be your fault, because now you're going to have that awareness. And so now start taking the pen away from whoever's holding it right now and start putting it in your hand and start writing your story. There's a drunk monkey that we call it, sitting on your shoulder. Kick it off. Tell it to get out of here, and close the door on its way out. and that it's time to start taking control on how you think and how you behave and how you walk and talk and everything about your business. So thinking creatively to grow your real estate business. Be an Utmer, out of box thinker. It's time to start thinking out of the box. And but before we move forward, I just want to be real, because that's what happens. There's reality, there's reality, and there's ideal. Ideal is idealistic. It's like where we wish to be, but then the reality is this is what's really going on. And the truth of the matter is the current real estate market, high interest rates, low inventory, inflation, policy changes, economic uncertainty, and then the biggest one, seller commission lawsuits that's happening in Missouri and trickling to other states. It's freaking a lot of people out. There's a lot of realtors that are jumping out of the game right now because of this. But it's time out. We need to stop, because there are ways. There is a way out of this. There are alternatives. I'm going to be transparent. As soon as the seller commission lawsuit started happening, I freaked out. I'm like, oh, wait a minute. If I'm going to go represent a buyer, how am I going to get paid? And I started seeing it happen, and it really put a halt on my business. And that's when I had to put on the big boy pants and say, okay, you know what, John, start changing your stinking thinking and figuring out different ways, different alternatives that's going to help us grow our business. And how do we do that? We have to just admit that it is what it is. The therapists teach this to their clients. It is what it is. We teach our subconscious mind to start thinking this way. So when we face adversity, immediately, what's going to come to mind? It is what it is. Okay, now let's move forward. Because it's okay to have those moments. And but once you have that moment, you can't have it too long. It is what it is, and then you move forward. So it's time to think outside of the box. Start creating your own reality and stop following the drum of everybody else and start following the tune of everybody else. Is start creating your own reality and start making things happen for you, and don't depend on anybody else. So thinking outside the box. Here's a few ways: new conversations. Go start a networking group, a business networking group, or go join one. I know I and a few others started a Latino one last year, and it's paid dividends. It's been awesome. Business is being tossed back and forth. And here's another way: open houses, but thinking outside the box open houses. This is open house extravaganzas, doing huge events. I met somebody who bought on Facebook Market a rolling ice box, put a bunch of popsicles in there, invited the whole neighborhood and said, hey, come on in and check us out. Draw the people to, and then people start looking at you differently and start saying, I want that person to sell my house. Also, IG Live interactive party tours. Pick one house every day, go out and do a virtual tour on Instagram. That makes it interactive with other people, and you can communicate and talk back and forth. Also, nightlife photography, showcase properties they look beautiful in the nighttime. Go and take pictures. If it's not your listing, go find one. Urban exploration videos, showcase nearby cafes, parks, cultural attractions. There are things that we can do despite of the circumstances around us. There are things that we can do today. Virtual fireplace chats, open up a YouTube channel. Don't be afraid. I know I was afraid at first, and just get out there and just start speaking into the video. It's okay. We all start the same way at the same level. And then you have something where you can discuss various real estate topics. You start getting set apart from everybody else. Now, this is just the tip of the iceberg. That's it. And there's more out there. There's just, you connect with other people and rub shoulders with other realtors. They're going to share with you amazing ways of being. In fact, the speakers are going to follow me. Oh my gosh, you're going to hear some out of box thinking that's going to blow your mind. I guarantee it. So I just want to thank you. Thank you for your time. My contact information is there. Once again, stay engaged until the very end to get your free goodies. Don't check out just yet. Stay till the very end. So now, please get ready for the speaker that's coming. Not only is he a renowned coach, he is recognized by the mainstream media. He has a team of realtors. Oh, I just got bumped out. All right, so I had it all written down. So I'm going to use that memory. He has a team of realtors, and he's teaching many agents and creating success stories all around the globe. And not only he is a very successful individual, he has close to 300 rented units. He is amazing at investing. So without further ado, please allow me to introduce to you my friend, my mentor, my coach, Mr. Gary Wilson.
Gary, you're muted.
Hey, John, thanks for that introduction. I apologize. I was kicking my PowerPoint off and I thought you were reading from something,
That's all right.
a different source. I apologize.
I hope
That's the
I hope
beauty
I
of
didn't chop it up, but that's okay. Hey, you know what? We're all human, right? That's what's awesome.
that's okay. Hey, my head grew 10 times, so it worked, So, but it's the beauty
Awesome.
of live events is stuff like that happens and it's, after a while you learn to just kind of chuckle with it. So, hey
Awesome.
guys, what I'm going to do is go over two techniques to help you produce right now in the marketplace, in a marketplace you maybe not necessarily be working in. Um, and I'm going to also talk about some fundamentals before we get there. But before we get into actual marketing and strategies and methodologies, I do have to give a disclaimer. We all have our licenses with our own brokers, and we are required by law to provide this disclaimer, which is my success is my success. It might not be your success. We hope that it is. We can't guarantee anybody's particular results on any team or any company. However, I can tell you this, and this is a fact, that your results will come directly from your sales efforts, hard work, diligence, skill, persistence, competence, and leadership. Okay, that's just what it comes down to. There's millions of ways you can make money. The key is success is an inside job, and it comes. You've got to step up, take action, and have faith no matter what it is you're doing. Okay, I'm just going to show you what I've done, right? So let's go ahead and jump into it. Here's why I like working with investors. And I always lead off with this because I've met over the years those tens of thousands of agents that I've taught live in classrooms. And in every classroom, there was always the people who said, man, I can't stand those investors. They drive me crazy. They make wild offers. So if you've worked with investors that drive you crazy, they make weird offers. You go look at hundreds of properties, they don't even make an offer. It just ends up being a exercise utility. Go ahead and do a hand raise or type in the chat box. I have the words I have, and I have too, by the way. But what I learned through experience was there are good investors just like there's bad investors, just like there's good dentists and bad dentists. So I learned how to identify the good investors. I learned how to market to them and attract them and work with them. And as a result, the good investors were generally business owners, often professional too in their fields, but they respected an agent who knew their stuff, who could walk the walk and talk the talk, had the methodologies, understood the terminology of investing. And most agents don't. They're not trained for it. Okay. So we on our team, we actually make a concerted effort to have part of our model focus on the investor community. We actually teach you how to invest. That's how we do it. Okay. And here's why. If you look at these two pie graphs, the first pie graph on the left shows us that in the residential world, I'm speaking strictly residential real estate right here, which is anything up to and including 4 units. Okay. So in the residential world, we know that only about 1% of agents actually invest themselves and work with other investors. They make a business model out of that, just like I did. Okay. Now, on the other pie graph, which is the mixture of business, the types of transactions, in a residential world, we can see that about 2/3 of them are for owner-occupied properties, which means about 1/3 of the transactions are for investor-owned properties. These are tenant-occupied units. Okay. Um, Now, just an interesting little side note here. What that means is the flipping is not actually accounted for in this pie. So if you imagine flipping being part of this, it's probably more like 50-50 because every house that's flipped ends up being lived in by the owner, right? So now here's why this is important to us. If you put yourself in the 1% over here, the 1% of agents who are trained to work with investors, you're trained to invest yourself, you understand the methodology and the terminology, you're getting at least 33% of the transactions over here. Now, remember, they're not all on the MLS. Not every transaction is on the MLS. Okay, there's a lot of transactions that are done off market. You still get paid just because it's off market doesn't mean we don't serve our roles. We do. Off market just means it's not on the MLS. That's all that means. Okay. So ask yourself this question. Do you want to be in or remain in this 99% of agents that's competing for about 2/3 of the transactions? Or would you rather be in this elite 1% group that's competing for 33%? In other words, 99 to 67 in the first comparison, and 1 to 33 in the second comparison. I don't know about you. I like those odds much better. I'd rather have 33% of the business available to me, right? Okay, so that's why we do this. Now, here's the benefit, right? You're here watching this, watching us speak and teach and listening, and some of you are on your phone, some are in your car. But I'm willing to bet if every one of you had the opportunity to have another stream of revenue from real estate, not your commission income, but your own investment income from owning properties, would you want to do that? Just raise your hand or say, yes, I do. I want to own my own properties. I want to be an investor. Absolutely. So the reality is this is you in the middle here, investor agent. In the old days, you were either an investor or an agent. But in the last generation, we clearly have created a new hybrid agent we call the investor agent. Now you could work with pie slice number 6 down here, which is owner occupants, which is remember what 99% of agents do almost exclusively. And that's all the income you're going to get. All right. But let's say you decide to work with flippers, people flipping homes. Automatically, I know when I work for flippers, I'm going to get a minimum 2 commissions, and I likely will get 3 and often sometimes even 4 commissions. And here's why. I'm going to help the flipper buy the property to begin with, right? And it's going to be a smaller commission because the house needs to be fixed up. It's going to be below market value. But I still get a commission. And in my agreement with the flipper, I guarantee that I'm going to get the listing agreement. That's how I work my relationship with the flippers. I make sure they understand in writing that I get first right of refusal on the listings that they after they remodel the properties. That means I'm going to get another commission. And by the way, I can safely rely on that commission because I know that flipper is more motivated than anybody to sell that property because it's their business. If they don't sell that property, they don't have their money back. They may have to turn it into a rental, which isn't the end of the world. But generally speaking, you don't remodel rentals the same way you remodel flips. But here's the bottom line. I can safely count on 2 commissions for every flip that I help an investor work on. Now, if I'm having a good day and my marketing is good, which it is, I'm also going to get the buyer, the end user buyer who's going to live in the property. And if you're really having a good day, that person may have a house to sell and you'll get that listing too. This is why I like flippers. And all the while, I'm generating additional commission income that I can apply to me up here in pie slice number 1 to invest myself. So now I've got the intellectual knowledge, I've got the academic strength to know how to invest because I work with investors, and I've also got the financial strength because I've got more commissions coming in. And I could go through all the details working with landlords who buy rentals, but the cool thing with the landlords is they keep growing. Landlords actually have more staying power than the flippers do. Statistically speaking, they stay around longer, they buy more properties, and those properties, they buy bigger and bigger properties as time goes on. And if you're a pretty good entrepreneur, you might actually start your own property management business, different subject for a different day, but it's another stream of income for you. So now you got 2 streams of income from one set of clients, and all the while you're saving up your own money to buy your own rental properties. I'm not going to go any further than that. I just want to paint this brief picture, and we call this basically the massive passive cash flow method, or the wheel of success. You know, you can make money a number of different ways when you are an investor agent. All right, so let's go into some marketing. Now, before I give you this particular technique, I want everybody to please write this down. This is what we're doing on my team, or our team, excuse me, the Global Investor Agent team. And there's several people on the show tonight who are on the team. So feel free at the end, if you stick around for the Q&A and ask some questions. There's a probably, I'm looking at 4 of them right now and a group of 5. So how about them apples? But here's the deal. It doesn't make sense, and I'm speaking to you as a coach. I've been coaching for a lot of years, and I know for a fact It does not make it does not make sense for me to give you a lot of additional marketing to do over and above the fundamentals until you got the fundamentals nailed. Okay. It doesn't make sense to spend money on marketing until the fundamentals are nailed. The fundamentals are, this is what you want to write down. You want to make sure every contact you have is loaded onto your contact management system. Some people call it your CRM. We use KV Core because it's freaking awesome. Okay. It does everything. It combines all the features of any good marketing system more than any other system I've ever seen. And I've seen a lot of systems. So number one is all your contacts need to be on your database, no exceptions, no excuses, no stories. I've heard it all. There's absolutely no reason to not have all your records on your contact management system. Okay. Number two, you need to have them properly tagged, hashtagged, so you can identify them by certain characteristics, like you know who the flippers are, you know who the landlords are, you know who the first-time home buyers are, who the mover-uppers are, who the downsizers are, vacation home purchasers are, retirees. You have them all identified, even by how you know them, the relationship, neighbor, family, friend, fellow church member, former coworker, friends of my children, right? Children's friends. Um, and so forth and so on. So have them tagged because when you do your marketing, it's going to be much more effective. You're not going to send the same marketing campaign to everybody. You're going to send marketing on about flipping to only your flippers. Okay, for example. So now, having said that, there is one thing you should set up for every single contact you have, and that is a market update. It's a simple report that gives them what's actively listed for sale in their area, what's under agreement, and what's recently been sold, as well as other market data. In our system, the one we use, it actually does it. It's very customized. So we have our whole database. We turn on the monthly market update. You can do it weekly, bi-weekly, or monthly. We choose to do it monthly. Okay. And what we do is we turn it on monthly for everybody. And when we put in their area, like we know their zip code, we know their town, their neighborhood, uh, everything. We can zero in by city, county, zip code, or neighborhood. So that's a very specific market update. It's a unique system. Our CRM connects with our MLS. It has access to all the contacts, and it knows who they are and where they are. So that's a must. Okay. Now the next thing is in the world of fundamentals is you should set up a calling plan to call all of your contacts. Every year you should contact everybody at least once. Your inner circle people, you should contact a minimum every 3 months. The people in the middle circle, you should contact them a minimum every 6 months. Everybody else is minimum once a year. So they all get the monthly market update. They all get a phone call from you, right? And the reason this is important is even though they might not be ready to buy or sell a house right now, they're going to go to work on Monday, and one of their coworkers is going to say, we just found out we're being transferred. I'm going to be, looking for another house and selling this one. And you're going to say your friend or your relative is going to say, you need to call Bonetta, you need to call Bethany, you need to call Anna, you need to call Amanda because she's my cousin or she's my neighbor. She sends me a monthly update every single month without fail. She's really good. So here's the deal. You're going to get business indirectly from your primary contacts, probably more than you will get primary, business directly from your primary contacts. Okay. So keep that in mind and keep this in mind too. If you do this, and I hope that you do, and on my team, we make it mandatory because I know from 38 years of experience, the agents that do this have a distinct advantage over the agents who don't. And it shows up for the people who don't, it shows up in a negative way. They come home one day and a neighbor in their neighborhood has a sign up from another broker, right? Because that agent was not diligent in sending out a monthly market update and making sure everybody knew the business they were in. Not hard sales. You're not hard selling anybody anything. You're just reminding them. It's called front of mind presence. Okay. And nothing hurts worse than a loved one using another realtor. And it's your fault when that happens because you didn't tell them enough. You didn't remind them enough. You didn't create front of mind presence. So I'm not trying to beat you up. I'm just trying to illustrate a point very effectively. It's painful. Who here's ever had that happen? Who's ever had that situation where you find out after the fact somebody you knew went ahead and used some other agent? It hurts. Okay. Now, on the other hand, I'm asking the veteran agents here now, of all the veteran agents, raise your hand or type in the chat box, I do, that you do what I just described. Everybody's on your database. They all get a monthly market update, and you have a regular routine calling plan to call them. So if you do that, please raise your hand or type in the chat box, I do. And I'm willing to bet you it's usually the veterans to do it. So be successful, take care of the fundamentals. Now, let's talk about some additional marketing, okay? I like to use something called a booklet. I love the booklet because it allows me to showcase unique things about a neighborhood or an area. So in this case, well, I actually originally designed the booklet. I sent it only to these 7 uh, groups of people by vocation: dentists, engineers, pilots, military, teachers, firemen, policemen, and chiropractors. We've since then modified it and expanded on it to be used for everybody that we know, and particularly, people we know that they are flippers or landlords, whether they're dentists or not, doesn't matter anymore. But these 7 groups of people, guys, are some very good groups of people to work with. They make great investors, and they'll treat you with respect and give you a lot more credit than most people would. So, in any case, first booklet I ever created was back in good old fashioned Pittsburgh, and you can see here I start off with the phrase "where the smart money is," right? And I give them a picture of the area, and then I give them the answer: investing in Pittsburgh real estate, and then contact information. That's my old brokers, by the way. Okay. Now I give them an introductory letter. Right? Then I give them a table of contents with a little more oomph on why they should be looking at this booklet. Okay. Then I give them an article. It doesn't have to be your article. It could be, you could use my article if you want. You can find this thing online. It's on our website. You can go to realestatewithgarywilson.com. You can go to globalinvestoragent.com and get a whole bunch of free stuff. And I think this is one of the things you can get there. But in any case, I wrote this article years ago when we were in a similar economy. The market was looking like it was going to change. Everybody was concerned about the stock market. And the question was, should I just do real estate? And the answer was a resounding yes. Okay. Then what I do is I give them samples of properties. And this is the gold. Okay. Now, this one's a sample of a rental, but I want to plant this seed in your mind. Please write this down. One of the best booklets you could ever create is going to have samples of flips in the area. You could have just one flip, but I would suggest have no more than 3 flips. And here's how you do it. You go to your MLS, you do a search on sold properties in the last year. Okay. Then you download the search results on your computer. It's going to come in a CSV file, and then you click on open and it converts it to Excel. Then you're going to sort it based on the address. Okay. Street address. So what'll happen is wherever a property is in there 2 or more times, it'll bunch them together in chronological order. So in March, you'll see a sale for 200,000, and in September, you'll see a sale for 400,000. Chances are, for the same property, chances are that was a flip. What I would do is I'd click on the second listing and look at the remarks and look at the pictures. And sure enough, it's going to say newly remodeled, new kitchen, new roof, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Right. And what I'll do is I'll take pictures from the old one, pictures from the new one, put them in my booklet, and take some of the remarks. Now, quick little legal disclaimer here. The reason you're allowed to do this is you're not putting this out there to the general population. You're sending this booklet to specific people that are already on your database. Okay. And you're using it for educational purposes. That's what you're doing. You're using this information for educational purposes. Remember, we're not selling this house that just flipped. It's already been sold. So we're not advertising something we're not supposed to advertise. In fact, we're not advertising at all. It's strictly used for education and entertainment. Just remember that, and that's what makes it work. Okay. Now, here's why we really focus on flips a lot. In the last generation, flipping has become a really hot topic. People are enamored by it. On Netflix, they're watching all the shows, Flip Flop, Flipping Brothers, flipping any town you can think of. It's all out there. And guys, I'm in the business and I watch those shows. Okay. So all we're doing is we're tying into a current consumer phenomenon, something that consumers are already enamored by, already interested in. They're all seeing themselves, man, I could do that. If that guy can do it, I can do it. Well, we're having you tap into that, what's called a current consumer phenomenon. And all of a sudden, all the people that know you, you're sending them to, your friends, neighbors, and relatives, and former coworkers, and church members, and so forth, and parents of your children's friends, they're going to say, you know what, I didn't know you did that too. I'm pretty sure I remembered you were a real estate agent, but I didn't know you did this kind of stuff too. They're going to say, Elizabeth, can you help me flip a home too? And this Elizabeth Rogers, if you're there, go ahead and unmute yourself. So Elizabeth Rogers, if your friend asks you, can you help them flip a house? What are you going to say? And go ahead, Elizabeth, you're unmuted, but your microphone might not be working. Guys, I know Elizabeth. I've known her for a long time too. She's up in Michigan. So in any case, yeah, the answer is resounding yes. I can help you flip that house. It's easy to sell a house that's been remodeled. Okay. In any case, that's the content. And this is a sheet, a net operating income sheet we use for rentals. You can have one for the flip to show them their current sale price, show them the ARV, which is at the repair value, which is the ultimate sale price. And you can show them what was done to the house in between. So they'll have a complete picture of that flip. Okay. And at the end, we give them a wrap up. We call this a button up or wrap up. You want to give them a reason to call you. Now, I'm going to add two things here. All right. So please write this down. Now, with technology, you can add a QR code to your inside back, it's the back inside cover of your booklet, and say, for free search of homes in your area, click here or take a shot of this QR code, or you can just give them the URL. And then the second one is, for free home evaluation, click here or click on this URL code, whichever one you want to do, and you can give them a free home evaluation. It's all no obligation to get that evaluation. And then you give them your contact information. And guys, that's essentially the booklet right there. All right, now I'm gonna give you one more quickie. All right, and I'm gonna turn things over because I've got about probably 2 minutes to go here. Now, this letter we've been using for at least 15 years. Okay. And here's how we use it. We first identify who we're going to send it to. So we use a system on our team that allows us to go in and get property data and owner data for every property in the country, not just Spokane, Washington, or Indianapolis, Indiana. Um, every agent on the team has their own account and gives them full, complete access to the entire country. And this is invaluable because now consumers are all over the place. They're moving from one state to another. Investors, by the way, 56% of all investments in real estate investments today are out of state. 56%. Okay. So here's how this works. We identify owners using our lead gen system to tell us who's most likely interested in selling. So they're not like, we're not sending out thousands of postcards. We'd only send out 75 letters, in fact. Now, if you notice, the top of the letter has a salutation, dear Clay. It doesn't give the what they call the watermark of the top part that has all the contact information, the header. Take the header out. It's costing you responses. I can promise you that. We've tested it every which way but loose. Take the header out, your response rates go up. The salutation is name specific, first name specific. The only exception is if you know the recipient is a doctor, doctors always like to be called Dr. So-and-so. So the doctor use last name if it's anybody else use first name. Now I'm going to read this off to you. Okay. Look how short it is, by the way. It's maybe 6 sentences. So, dear Clay, I'm writing to you about your property located at 17 Elm Lane in Etna. We named the property specifically. Now we use sort merging to do this. We're not actually typing all this in. We give Microsoft Office the list of all the people we're going to contact, the names of the people, their mailing address, and the subject property, which is typically another property. All right, so we name the person and the property directly. Then we say, I'm not suggesting you sell your property if you don't want to. Well, what did we actually just suggest? It's called an embedded command. You're right. We suggested subconsciously they sell their property. See, I didn't say what your property's worth. We said sell your property. Okay. It's an interesting psychology. Then we said, however, inventory is tight right now. And boy, is it ever. And I have clients like Mr. Metajasic, who is an actual person. You don't make this stuff up, guys. This is not the time to fake it till you make it. This has to be real. So you're gonna need a real person on your database who actually is looking for a property. Okay. And by the way, I suggest you run it by them. They're all, if they're investors, they're gonna say, heck yeah, do whatever you can, get me a property. Okay. We want to buy a 4-unit building. In this case, we named the type of property, just like yours in your area. That's why I specifically sought you out. You notice how often I'm saying you or your? Even if you're curious about what your property would sell for, there is again, please call me, text me, I'll give you a free evaluation. Let's see, that's 1 sentence, 2 sentences, 3 sentences, 4 sentences, 5 sentences, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, just a little over 6 lines. And guys, I've used the word you or your 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I've used you or your 10 times in there. That's why the letter works. One of the oldest secrets in marketing. Speak directly to people, even if you're sending 75 letters out, each one you're going to say you and your. The more you say it, the more effective the letter, because it's going right to the subconscious mind. Remember what John taught us? Okay, you want to go to the subconscious mind. They're going to think this is all about them. And then finally, I give them my contact information, because the reality is they don't care who I am and what I've got to do unless they're interested. So I get them interested first, and then I tell them who I am. Okay. All right. Now, you want to, again, select your prospects carefully by doing research like we do. Hopefully you've got a system like we have to save you a bunch of time and money. By the way, here's the results for these things. We have some pretty high conversion rates for the booklet, a little bit higher than it is for the letter. Each one of these you do every month. The booklet and the letter you do all the time. Okay, you never stop doing those 2 things. But remember, these are second level marketing techniques, only to be done when you've done the fundamentals, right? Whoops. And I think, okay, so far, raise your hand if you feel like you're getting a good deal for your money tonight. And we're not even halfway done. We still got Shastine and Gina. But raise your hand or type in the chat box. I do. Maybe I'll use that technique the next time I decide I want to get married. Just say I do, you know. So let's see here. We got Shastine. All right, guys. I love Shastine. I've known her for a lot of years. When I first met her, I said, this person is an action taker. She's a results getter, and she doesn't let fear stop her. We all have fear, but truly successful people, what I call the heroes and the champions, take action in spite of fear. You know, when we came up with this idea, it all came up because of a conversation I had with John Giggy, actually, to do an event. And we thought about the logistics of doing one live, and I said, let's do one online. So thank you, John, for giving us the idea for this whole thing. And the first person I thought of, or the first 2 people I thought of, were Gina and Shastine. So Shastine has some very unique marketing she's developed over the years. Some of it utilizes YouTube. She's going to show you a couple of things that she does in this next session. So make sure you take notes. And everybody give her, how about a big round of applause, a big pat on the back for Shastine. And Shastine, go ahead and take her away.
Thanks so much, Gary. And thank you guys for just taking the time to invest in yourselves and just, cut out just this hour and a half. And I only have 20 minutes. And so I may fire hose you because I don't know about you, but whenever I've been to so many training courses, done so much coaching, been in the industry for 21 years. And really, when I left a lot of those conventions, I'm like, can I just have some tools that I can actually implement into my business? Because sometimes we hear a lot of the same things. And really what we need is we need creative ideas. We need different ways of thinking of how to do business than what maybe the standard traditional ways are. And that is absolutely what I want to share with you tonight. And first of all, I do want to give kudos to John. Thank you so much for just reaffirming where we need to be with our mindset. And I know you guys, we have a lot of some of those fears trying to creep in with some of the things that are going on in our industry regarding buyer agency and all of that. And I know that me and my team and even Sphere and my network and in our organization and just agents that I have a relationship with, that we've talked about, we're actually having conversations on what things are going to separate you. So actually, me and my team, Moni, she's in the group. Hi, Moni, I love you. You're awesome. You know what? I can't do things without others. And so I'm just appreciate all of you guys for being here, because what we're going to share tonight is just some things that is going to be relevant to how our industry is changing, how you need to show value, but more importantly, how to set it up so that you can be successful. Because there's a lot of shiny objects in real estate, in ways that you can get business. But what I found is that you have to get business based off of who you are as an individual. And so I want to start off there. And I want to actually, because we need to have a slide deck, right? So I'm going to actually share my screen with you. And then hopefully it will pop up beautifully. Let me know if you guys can see it. Make it full screen. Can you guys see it okay? Yes? No?
Not yet. We
Oh,
just
not yet.
started. I think
Okay.
there might be a delay.
Yeah, we have an ice storm here. So, well, it's not an ice, well, it snowed and then now it rained and now everything's freezing up. So if I freeze with my mouth open, give me grace. That's all I'm saying. So anyway, okay, so what I want to talk about is, first and foremost, there's a lot of different ways that we can get business as agents. And if we've been in the industry any amount of time, we've heard everything from expireds for sell by owners, doing estate sales, doing open houses, doing short sales, REOs, everything. And the problem with that is that all of these are different real estate gateways, but the only way any of them are going to be successful is, first and foremost, if we understand that we have to be actually true to ourselves, and which my graph is supposed to be moving so that I can, it's delayed, it's so delayed. Oh, my Lanta, I'm so sorry, guys. But we have to be true to ourselves, meaning that how do you operate normally so that you can stay consistent and not have this up and down business? Because the problem is if you get in the business, we're really excited, and they're like, go for the low-hanging fruit, go to for sale by owners, go to expires. That's awesome. You begin to do it. You try to create a system for it. Maybe you took a class on it. And then what happens, though, is we begin to do it, but then we end up having it so we start to get business, and then it goes down because it's not something that is consistent with innately who we are as individuals. If we don't like to cold call, and we're taught how to cold call, and that's what we're doing to get business, right when we get business, that's probably not going to be something we're going to keep doing because it's not true to our nature. And so it's really important to know, who you are, be true to yourself, and then you need to know who are you going to target. But more importantly, besides who you're going to target, what I believe, just me, and especially because I've always believed as part of that growth, like John talked about, we need to be able to grow to where we see our market moving and begin to implement tools and systems and strategies that will not only set us apart, but that we can actually set up for longevity so that it is like a click it, forget it, like evergreen type of scenario. And so with that, that means we need to match the market. Well, I don't know about you guys, but here in Southwest Washington, we kind of have a pent up kind of market going on where sellers don't want to sell because they don't want to be homeless. They don't want to give up their interest rates. They're not seeing other homes out there. Buyers aren't wanting to quite get off the fence because they're still used to the 4%, 5% interest rates. And they're really hoping that that interest rate will go down so they can afford a home. And our homes here are a little bit expensive. So, we have this pent up tension that's going on. And so with that, it's our jobs as agents to begin to educate the market and do things strategically that match our market, that will not only separate us and gain favor with those that we're wanting to get as a business source, whether buyers or sellers, or also that's something that can be consistent because we're matching it to who we are. And so we're going to match the market. So for me, here's Southwest Washington, when Moni and I and some of the agents that are just in my sphere and in my network, when we have conversations, we're talking about different things that we can set up. And so with our market right now, I want to work on getting listings. If you don't list, you don't last. We've all heard it. Obviously, yes, we should all be getting listings, right? We should absolutely all be getting listings. But if we're used to working with buyers, because maybe that's just kind of been the easy way that, especially if you're new, that's what you're taught, go to open houses, you're going to get buyers. They might have a home to sell, and that's the easy that's the easy transition. Then we're going to do that. But then what happens is when we know that we're supposed to list the last and get sellers, we have to be able to have a strategy to reach out, show value to get those sellers, right? So what we decided to do with our pent up inventory market that we're in right now, we want to market to sellers, but we also want to differentiate ourselves in a different way than maybe what we're seeing out there. The typical, like, I got a buyer for your house, or, I'll list your home and sell it in 30 days, or I'll buy your house if I don't sell it for 30 days. All the stuff that we've heard that basically we'd be terrified if we ever had to end up doing it. And so, because we're operating in a way that maybe is not us, right? And so what we did is we said, okay, we want to set up something that will grab sellers, connect to buyers, and marry them together. And we want to be able to also do that in different segments of our business. And that's what I'm going to show you guys tonight. I'm going to give you actual examples. Stay all the way to the end of this actual training, because after me is going to come one that helps you to be able to get the contract signed and be able to get you across to the closing table, which is AKA Miss Gina Fabulous. And so you want to be able to stay to the end. And then after this happy hour deep dive in some of the things that I'm talking about tonight. So be sure to stay to the end so that you get the link, which gives all of the collaterals that I'm sharing tonight, as well as the information for our happy hour deep dive. Okay, so let's dive in. All right, so let me pick up where I left off. Okay, so we're going to create two things that marry, right? Now, the next thing that we're going to do to those, and which I call the two-prong effect, right? But then I also want to be able to do something that is going to be set in place so that it doesn't matter how busy I am, whatever I have going is going to continue to work for me, right? And I'm going to do this in different segments. So I'm not just talking about, I'm going to give you a few ideas tonight that you're going to be able to take. And so with the first one I want to dive into, and I have to go really fast because I know I have to have 20 minutes. And that is, my little slider things needs to slide faster. And it's not sliding faster. I'm going to click it again. Okay. And that's that strategy, like what I talked about, but what I'm talking about here is I have an actual real buyer for your home. So I'm not sending out a postcard that just has a verbiage with my little face on it. And, and I sold this home down the street for 2 days or 3 days. That isn't going to get people off of the couch to list their house unless they can maybe do it with less hassle, be able to have less stress about it. And so you need to do a little bit more than that. So what we did is I have clients that are relocation. And yes, I do have a YouTube channel. And there's a lot of you guys, some of you guys do. Susie, shout out to you, girlfriend. She's in my hometown. She does YouTube and she's absolutely phenomenal. But we have a YouTube channel. And yes, I get relocation buyers from this. Great. But right now we have a lot of buyers. So it doesn't matter if you don't have a YouTube channel. You can get buyers instantly. Do a pay-per-click ad or do a Facebook ad for 3 days and you'll have some buyers. But we have actual buyers. And what we did is I began to have conversations, and especially with this transition with buyer agency and all of us, oh my gosh, we got to show value. We actually have to do buyer consultations now. Novel idea. We should have always been doing them, mind you. But we created postcards now that actually have our clients' faces right here. These are real life clients that I'm dealing with. Mark and Diane, they live in Connecticut and they want to buy a house. They already came in town. They're not in a hurry. Awesome. I'm not sitting on the couch waiting for them to, for something to roll across the RMLS. We need to be proactive. So what we're doing is we're creating postcards with their faces and I'm marketing it according to the area that they want to be in, right? And what we're doing is we're taking this and then we're sending that out. And then the next one that we send out for it, because I'm just showing you guys. So if you're going to take this and then all you're going to do is you're going to send out, whoops, dang, that's going way too fast now. Okay, this next one is it showing up for you guys? Talking faster than it's loading. This next one here is the, are you a match? And then as you can tell, I circled on here, my clients, Mark and Diane, they are interested, so getting your home ready to sell and less hassle, less cost, so then there's, getting your home ready to sell, less hassle, less cost, and then, I have some key things that they can reach out for, but I'm doing a continuum from the first postcard with their face on it, because the faces are like, who are these people with these faces smiling at me? It's not a normal postcard. And then I'm following up with another postcard, which you guys raise your hand if you can see my screen, because I don't know if you can.
We
Raise your
can.
hand.
You're good.
Oh, hallelujah.
we can.
Thank you, Jesus. Okay. Thank you. And so the next one that I want to show you is, gosh, this thing. You know what? Smells, let me tell you. Let's see if my clicker works better. Well, that's my flyer. But here's my other one here. And this one is still delayed. Thank you very much. Right here, this is the flyer. So I wanted to do a flyer with a postcard with this. I did not just want to stay with a postcard. I wanted to also do a flyer that had to be put in the colored envelope, needed to be hand dressed and sent out. And of course, this is a continuation. Would you like to sell, but you're hesitant because where would you move to, or too much work to get your home sold? We have buyers who were willing to wait, mind you, buyers Mark and Diane. Again, I'm doing a continuation about these buyers that I'm sending out. Now, maybe, in between that, this is the other one that I have that was supposed to pop up before. If you guys don't have a specific name and a face, you can still take this and just customize it just like this and have it just be, for the right price, would you consider selling, right? We're doing things to be able to attract attention to buyers, to sellers regarding our buyers or buyers that have been pent up and waiting to find a home for them. And so the next thing that we did, so that's just the buyer, what we're doing for our active buyers. And what makes this really simple, guys, you have to think about this, is if you're now in this industry, if we're needing to show our value propositions as agents, buyers agents for our clients, it's going to look a lot more impressive, like when we send an actual card out on their behalf and have examples to send them. So I had a new client come in and I'm like, yeah, I'll send you what we're doing right now. This is what separates me from other agents. You don't need another agent. This is what separates me from other agents. I actually actively prospect for you. And there's a two-prong effect. Remember, I can get a seller to list and I can get a buyer and show them that I'm having value. The next thing that we implemented is that we're doing vendors, and we're doing vendors and past clients. I don't want you guys to knock this though, because I want you to be able to see the vision behind this. Because the problem is when we try only something from one perspective, when we don't see the success that we want to see, then we automatically want to poo-poo it, right? Because sometimes it's a consistency and a longevity thing that we need to handle. And so we poo-poo it. But if we know that we can actually have a two-prong effect and be able to have something that can gain value to both sides, it's a win-win. So we started a vendors networking group. And now, obviously, I don't need to tell you, past clients, right? We need to stay in contact with our past clients. Gary actually hit on that as well. We need to stay in contact with them. Isn't it better to send them something that says, hey, we are actually going to be, this is what we sent out to our clients. You need a contractor or service provider, then here it is, my home and service provider network. And so sent this letter out. We also have it on our Home by Design magazines. And then we created this magnet because we want a magnet to stay on their wall. You guys, your buyers, us. How many times do we have something take place that we need done with our home? And you're like, crap, who does that again? What was their name? And we're scrolling and then we have to send something out on Facebook and ask, like, who do you know who? And so what we did is we created a magnet that's going to stay on our client's refrigerator, compliments of your friend and realtor, and then Shastine Residential Group. And so we put that on a magnet to be able to show our clients and then write a letter. This is the letter. You'll get a sample of it. But then you can write a different letter if you don't want this one. But you writing a letter just saying that we care, your home is your largest investment. And we're not just there for the initial transaction. We're there for the longevity of that largest investment. because as your realtor and friend, we're here to keep your home intact so that, and that you can continue to build wealth. And, let's talk about investment properties, all of that, because it's our job to get our clients into investments too, so that they can have some sort of legacy to leave to their kids or their grandkids. And so this is something that we've done now from our vendor networking group. We do it every single week. And, a couple times we took a little break, but what we loved about this is we then did a Christmas party where we had the vendors take part. They helped pay for the food and everything that we had there. It was a great, wonderful event. We gave out the pies and we had food and drinks and, and just a stunning view for them. And we did not have to take in all the costs for that. Our vendors took in the cost. What were they doing? They were inviting their clients, in which I got connected with, my clients they got connected with. And then so many of them really appreciated the fact that we gave them something besides a call or, a calendar at the end of the year. We gave them something that will help them actually prolong the life of their home, and without like, do you have a home to sell, or do you have a home to buy, or do you want to invest in real estate today? We didn't just have those calls. Now, when we have a call, we can say, hey, have you been able to use the vendor, networking home provider list at all? It's just another area to be able to have a conversation with our clients and to show value. So this is something that we implemented that, again, it has that two-pronged effect. And we've been doing it, Moni, I think we've been doing it it was before, did we start in October? I think we did. We started in October, and we just now got our very first referral from one of our vendors, in which that gentleman has a home to sell, which will be over $1 million. And so it'll be about, I think right now the assessment value is at 1.2. And so anyway, but it's like, that's fine with me, because I had a two-pronged effect. Because if you didn't think of it this way, you would be left thinking, well, this group kind of sucks. They're not giving me referrals, but if you think about different ways that you can get multiple benefits from what you're doing, then you're going to be consistent with it. You're going to find value in it, and you're going to keep doing it. And so let's talk about the next thing. If you guys want to get listings, because listings is the name of the game, and you have to be able to, don't list, don't last. Well, you can do the listing challenge, CMA challenge. And so this is, a group that I was in, that we had a 30-day listing challenge. And we've had continuations of this. Now, just so you know, perfect disclaimer, I was not faithful all the way on this. So what I'm sharing with you is I'm sharing success from the other agents that took the time and the discipline to do this. But the beautiful thing is when we do things together, we get the materials and the collaboration of sharing what we're doing, and the synergy and the accountability to do it. I was just growing too many different areas of my business. I wasn't able to we were supposed to do 25 CMAs a week, but, and so this is just how we encouraged one another. We took photos of one another, and it was a CMA drop off. And in the CMA drop off, I think they just mouse the issues. So the CMA drop off, like this is one that I had sold last year. Actually, it was with Susie. She was the buyer's agent on it, phenomenal agent. And so, and we had sold this. And so I had, there's the postcard that I did as far as a, wonder what your home is worth type of scenario, to do it within a radius. Now this one was a rural property, so I wasn't walking those streets, but some of these gals did just 2 flyers, and they actually mailed them, and they still got listing appointments. But the one gal I want to talk about is maybe you don't want to knock on doors, because again, remember, you have to be true to yourself. So you don't want to knock on doors. You have a terrifying kind of like, feeling about it. You don't want people to be yelling at you. Don't blame you. Well, that's fine. Then you can do a mailer. And so the mailer is we took this mailer, we attached it to just a CMA, and a 1-page CMA, not very detailed, and then sent them out. Now the drop-offs at the doors had lots of other little goodies in them, and we can talk about what, but this is just some, one of the letters that we added to it. And then what we did is we did other different components of that. So we did one that talked about Zillow and, or Realtor.com or Trulia. and, you know, basically telling them, as you can see, the internet has no idea what your home is worth. And so let me tell you, you know, this is the range, but I won't know until I see your house. But these are all things that are a little bit different than the standard things that they're going to get. And again, like I said, you need to go in between a postcard or a mailer, or if you don't have the money, then you need to invest your time. And even if you did 10 a week, doesn't matter. 10's better than nothing, but you need to do something. And so this was one that we did. Also, it's such a bugger. This little thing is just not, it is not moving for me. Okay. Anyway, so I don't know how much I'm in. So this is just one of another type of CMA flyer that we did for the buyers in, you know, a community that we picked. The other one that I wanted to show you, which I can't seem to get to pop over, which was the two-year-old communities that are new construction that are 2 years or older, you know, so, but a minimum of at least 2 years. Because what we found when we did a study on that was that if you go into a community that community has been over 2 years, then 3 years is ideal. You'll want to choose that community, and then what you'll do, if you look at it, you're going to see on that magical second year to that third year, you have a lot of homeowners that specifically got into that community when it first opened to be able to gain equity fast, take the equity, and then have it be a move-up buyer, right? And so even in my own community, which is really small, when I first bought in my own community, 2018, did I market to my own community? No, I did not. You know, I'm just saying, you know, we know what we're supposed to do, but we don't always do it. And so, but what did I see? I saw 4 different signs in my community, and my community was just 25 homes, and they came up 2020, 2021. And I'm like, oh, it wasn't a family member, Gary, so that's why I did not raise my hand. But anyway, so, you know, but it just goes to show you, I saw it time and time again. Going into a brand new community, they're 2 years old. I'm starting to see the signs pop up. Guys, if you pick your community and then be faithful to farm it, and then what if that community was a well-rounded community to where you can then send mailers off of, I have this buyer with their face. You're showing yourself as a rock star buyer's agent. You're showing yourself as a proactive agent to a seller that could make their lives easier and less stress. These are all different ways that you guys can add a 2-prong effect that will be able to launch and give yourself a kind of an edge and an advantage coming into 2024. And more importantly, it's better to do things together. And so be sure to collaborate with other agents. I know my heart and my vision just moving forward is just begin to do more collaboration with agents in our own company, agents, you know, that I have relationship with. Outside the company doesn't matter, but just because growing together gives us, and it helps us to be able to excel faster. And so, and it's free, right? You don't have to pay for coaching because we have each other. So anyway, thank you guys so much for being able to just stay tuned in. I know I was talking fast, but when I get excited, I talk fast, and I wanted to be sure to get through some, which I might still be over. So, but without further ado, over to the one and to the only. Well, I will let Gary say that. Trying to stop share. Gary, you're muted.
You guys want to give Shastine a pat on the back there? That was her first official foray into the world of speaking thesis, although she's been doing it with her clients and her team that she's building. So she's more powerful than she realized. So good job, Shastine. And next up, we got Gina Game Changer Hanson. So just briefly, you know, I mentioned earlier that I've known Gina for the longest of all. And years ago, I'd done some teaching in the investor world, but it was all very subject specific, and it was, you know, like closed network type stuff. It wasn't like I was out there on the road in the public. And Gina made that part happen. I taught a class for her in Newport News, Virginia, and it was a packed house. There was a panel with me and 4 other people. And I'd driven, it was 11 o'clock in the morning, and I'd just driven from 3 in the morning all the way down there from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. So I was hopped up on on no dose and coffee and stuff. I don't know what I look like or what I sounded like, but in any case, it gave me the confidence to keep going. I had other office managers ask me to teach there too, and then the next year, Gina invited me out to Fremont, California to teach there, another packed room. And that started the whole ball rolling. That was the pivotal point in my business life as far as building a team, teaching like I taught. And it's all because of Gina. So Gina is an awesome coach. She's one of our coaches on the team. She and I are partners. When we started this team, she was the first person I thought of to partner with. And I mean, I could go on and on and on, but she also is extremely bright and she knows a lot about the mechanics of the business and how to help you get business. And she's going to show you one of those techniques right now. So, Dina, go ahead and take her away, partner.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Gare. All right.
Mhm.
So I'm super excited about this. We heard from John about shifting your mindset, and we heard about Gary about going after that underserved market, the investor. We heard from Shastine on how to differentiate yourself. Now, what I'm going to do is show you how to take this home. So this is one of the techniques that I personally used to take my listings appointment set to listings appointment taken ratio from 50% to 85%. So this is what I did. I'll walk you through it, and then I'll walk you through how to use it on the listing appointment. So let me share my screen here and let's go. All right. So grab a pen and paper if you don't have one already, because I am going to throw a ton of information at you. Also, I talk fast. So when you get the recording, slow everything down, listen to me on half speed. That usually works. All right. Have you ever heard a customer say, just send me a CMA when you're on the phone, right? And then put in the chat box if you've heard it said, you did it, and then you never heard from them again. Like that was it, they were gone. Okay, don't do that, right? The only reason that they're saying that, just send me a CMA, is because they want to get rid of you. Don't let them get rid of you. Tell them no. So I used to do this all the time. They would say, send me a CMA, and I would say no. And they'd go, well, why? I said, I don't do CMAs. Well, what do you do? I do property positioning reports. Well, send me that. No. And then when they're shocked now, because nobody tells them no with that kind of stuff, I used to say, look, I can't. It's a bunch of numbers. If I send you a whole bunch of numbers, you won't know how to read it. Once I sit down with you and I go through all of that with you, you will know more about your neighborhood than anybody else. That's why I need to sit down with you. And then after that, I can send them to you every single month. I'll send them every week if you want. But the first time I need to sit down with you, are you available Tuesday at 2 or 4? And use it to close your appointments. So what is a property positioning report? Well, let's break it down and I'll go through it all with you. It consists of 7 different reports: sold, pending, active, absorption rate, trends, current inventory, and current sold. So let's break down every single one of them and how you use them. So first off, well, no, I've got my computer acting weird. So let's go through sold. Sold is just a classic CMA. You're used to this. It's just within a certain set of parameters, say 2 miles from the subject property, same bedroom, bathroom, square footage, etc. And when you're gathering these reports, I don't want you to use RPR. I want you to go to the MLS. And the reason why I want you to go directly to the MLS for your data is because RPR is a beautiful marketing report. But oftentimes I found in many areas across the country, it doesn't line up with what's really going on out there. So go to the source. And then if you want to put together a marketing report about it, use RPR and use or one of the other tools that are out there, Cloud CMA, etc. So, but go to your MLS for the source and then find these reports and compile them together. So first off, sold, just a classic CMA. Second one, pending. Pending is just what happened last month. That's all it is. So again, you're used to a classic CMA. Active. Active is today's data. So everything again within those same parameters, plus or minus 200 square feet within 2 miles or the same neighborhood, school district, whatever it is. So it's just what's currently active. Any buyer that is out there looking is going to see these properties as well as your property that you're going to list. So that's your active data. All right, so far 3 normal reports. Now let's get into some more interesting stuff. The next one's absorption rate. So absorption rate is just a raw list single item of every single property that sold in the last year in that area. You sort it out by date, and then you're just going to draw a line across January, February, March, April, etc., so that you can see that 4 houses usually sell in January, 4 in April, 3 in March, 5 in May, 7 in June, etc. So you want that report, what breaks it down. This is the same report that you will sort out by address to do what Gary was talking about, so you can see the flips. All right, all basic reports. Now let's get into the tricky stuff. Next one, trends report. What is a trends report? It's 3 separate reports that show exactly what the market is doing. And the reason why this one's so important right now is because as the market shifts, you will be able to tell exactly when it shifts and exactly what that looks like before anybody else. And then you can teach your sellers the same thing. So let's dig into what a trends report is. A trends report is 3 separate sold reports within a specified area, but you remove the other parameters, no bedrooms, bathrooms, square footage, etc. You're just looking at within 2 miles of that property, or a city, a school, a zone, a neighborhood, that kind of a thing. So it's just that area, that's it. And it's 3 separate reports. We want to see everything that's sold within that area. But the most important part is the dates cannot overlap. So if I was running a report today, I might run everything that's sold in October, and then a separate one for November, and a separate one for December, or maybe 0 to 30 days, 31 to 60, 61 to 90. What you don't want to do is have those dates overlap. So you don't want to do that 0 to 30 and 0 to 60 and then 0 to 90, because that doesn't show you what it is that you need to see, which is separate reports so you can see the trends. Okay, so that's the most important part. Do not let your dates overlap. People send me stuff all the time and they're like, I can't make sense of this. Yes, because you have 0 to 30 and a 0 to 60 and a 0 to 90. And that's not the kind of data we're looking for here. So 3 separate reports on this one. All right, next. This is what you're going to put together once you have that report pulled. So you're going to have something that looks like this: trending days on market, trending sales price over list price ratio. Only put 3 numbers on this report, and these are the 3 that I like to use the most. And the reason why is because too many numbers, most people don't like math anyway, and they don't know how to read reports, and too much just overwhelms them. So don't do it. If for whatever reason, the story that's coming out with this report is best shown with price per square foot, you can add it in if you either take something else out or you add it in but separate it off a little bit, because it just makes it that much clearer and easier to understand. So if you're going to put the price per square foot in, separate it out or get rid of some other number that doesn't show as well as the story as well. So that's your trends report. All right, moving on. We're going to go into current inventory. Current inventory is just, again, every single thing active in a specific area. No bedrooms, bathrooms, square footage out there. This is everything versus the active one, which is just lining up with your property, your subject property. So plus or minus 200 square feet, etc. So this one's just the raw number of houses on the market. So what we want here is, and there's going to be 2 reports, this one and the next one, that go hand in hand. You want a raw list, a long list of everything active in that area. If these 2 reports that I'm going through now, the current inventory and the next one, don't show this scenario, just don't use them, because it's not going to apply yet. It'll apply when the market shifts. So this one's the current inventory, raw list of everything in the area that is up for sale right now. And then the last one, current sold. So that's what you want here, is just a short little tiny list. So the other one, current inventory, you're looking for like 20 or 30 houses in the area. And then for current sold, you want to see like 4 or 5. If you don't see that type of reports pop up for these 2, just get rid of these and don't use them. All right, so those are the reports. Now let's break down how you use them on a listing appointment. Let's go through the scripts and how you present it. So first off, sold. When you're talking to your seller, this is just your average CMA. It's what your average agent is going to give you. It's everything around your property that lines up close with your property. So you're going to be telling the story, and this is where that story starts. So I will tell them, I always look at price per square foot here, and I put my finger on the report there. I point to it because again, most people are bewildered with math, and I want to illustrate the story, and I'm going to illustrate the story by showing them where to look. The data illustrates the story. Look here. I always look at price per square foot. Look, here it is. So that's where this one starts. Next, pending. The CMA shows us what happened last month. This shows us what happened last week. I've already called all the other agents, and I found out whatever it is you found out, because you're going to utilize that information if you need to justify your price. So in some areas, the agents can tell you everything. In some areas, they cannot tell you everything on a pending because it's not public information. It has not sold yet, but it doesn't hurt to ask. And many agents will tell you anyway, even though they're not supposed to. So call and ask, or if you can't get any information, get inside the property if you can. Like, get your eyes on it. You want as much information as possible, because there's nothing more powerful than when the client says, but I want my house to list for this. And you're like, but that one had granite counters and this and that, and you have da, 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 da. So you want to know the information on that one, and that's how you're going to be using this pending report. All right, next. Active. Talk on this. This is our competition. Our job is to make you the nicest option so that when buyers are out looking, they pick your house. So it's a price war and a beauty contest, and we need to beat them on both. So that's what any other buyer that's out there looking, this is exactly what they're going to see as well. Now, one caveat on this: when you list a property, always set yourself up in the MLS as if you were a buyer for that property in that area, because you want to get all the same searches that every other buyer is going to be getting. You want to know if another house comes on the market. You want to know if someone undercuts your price. You want to know if another one goes pending. You want to know what's going on. So every single time you've got a listing, set yourself up in the MLS exactly as if you were a buyer in that area, and get those reports sent to you automatically so you don't have to search for it. It's just in your inbox in the morning. So, all right, so that's your active. All right, absorption rate. Mr. Seller, this is an absorption report. It shows us how many houses sell on average in the neighborhood. Since we're looking at listing in January, we can see that we could expect about 4 houses to sell every single January. Now, here's the deal. It's a price war and a beauty contest, and there currently are 5 houses listed, and you're going to be number 6, which means if we don't price you, we have to be the best looking. Let's just start with that. But then we also have to price you within the bottom 4, because if we don't, all you did was sell your neighbor's house, and then let that sit there for a minute. So it's a price war and a beauty contest. If we don't get you down, only 4 houses sell per month. If we don't get you in the bottom 4, all we're doing is selling your neighbor's house. So that's your absorption rate 1. Trends. This is a trends report. It shows us what direction the market is heading. So point out what it shows. So in this one, in this particular report, I'll use this one, and I'll use another example that someone just sent me yesterday. I see 13 days on market, and then 22 days on market, and then 37 days on market. Now, I will tell them, look, an average CMA, an average agent, they're just going to look at what sold last month. I mean, that's all they're really going to look at. And they're going to see the 37 days on market, and they're going to think that this market is stupid hot. And because of that, they're going to price it right at the very, very top of the market, or maybe even above, thinking that because the market's so stupid hot, it's going to catch up to it. But what you can see here with this trends report is it was 13 days, and then 22, and now 37. So we're starting to soften a bit. Now, one caveat with this: if you ever see a days on market that is 14 days or below, it is a fake number. And here's what I mean by that. If I list a house on Friday and the market's crazy hot, I get everybody in on Saturday, all my offers are coming through on Sunday, I negotiate everything I could go pending on Monday. But I purposely leave it on the market for 2 weekends because I want to get the most people in there possible. So now I list on Friday. I keep it open all the way through that week to the next Friday. That's 7 days. And then the next weekend, Saturday, Sunday. So that's 8, 9. Monday's the 10th. I'm accepting offers on Monday. I negotiate everything through on Tuesday, which is the 11th day. And we go pending on Wednesday, the 12th. So it's not a real number, because really I could have listed on Friday, had my offers on Saturday, and probably gone pending by Sunday, literally. So 14 days and below, fake number. So what you're looking for is a story. So I just got sent one of these the other day from Texas, somewhere in Texas, and it was 8 days on market, 85 days on market, 9 days on market. And the list price over sales price ratio was like 99.9 and then 94.5 and then 99.9 again. And so they sent it to me and I said, well, what's the story? And they were like, I don't know. I'm like, what's going on in November? And they're like, well, I don't know. Find out what November is, because that's your story. Because I would bet you dollars to donuts that that price, that house was overpriced, and that it's set on the market a long time, and they had to drop it down. It's reflected in that sales price over list price ratio of 94.5. And it's reflected in that stupid days on market, because one of the first things she said, there were no comps and I had a really hard time pulling this. So only one house sold. Okay, well, find out what's going on with that house, because that's your story. And that's what you're going to use on that appointment. So look for your story. Every trend tells a different story. That's how you're going to talk and use a trends report. All right, next one. Current inventory. Now, this is the one that I told you to use in conjunction with the other one. If this is a long list of a ton of properties, single line, and then the next one of everything sold is a short little tiny list. And so if that's the scenario, and when the market does go even further south, if you're not seeing it now, chances are you're going to see it at some point. So at that point, the way that I present this one is I set everything aside and I say, would you like to know what's really going on in the market? And then I slap that first one down. That's the raw list of every single thing listed, no bedrooms, bathrooms pulled out, just everything listed in the area. If you like to know what's really going on, and you're nodding your head yes, because you want them to nod their head yes. And then you slap that down and they see this long list. Here's everything for sale in the area. And just watch them like go down the list. And then I said, and would you like to know what you're up against? And again, I'm nodding yes. And they're like, yes. And then I slap down that only 3 houses sold in the last 30 days or 4 or whatever it is, but it's a tiny short little list. And you can see their jaws drop. And that's where you want them, because they understand that they need you, like really need you. So that's how you lay all those out. All right. And then my next line was, based upon this, I recommend we price at blank, whatever it is. Now, here's your close. And it's really, really complicated. You guys ready? Come on, nod yes if you're ready. All right. Are you ready to do the paperwork? It's not a contract, it's paperwork. That's it. Are you ready to do the paperwork? I don't care if it's on an iPad or your computer, it's still, are you ready to do the paperwork? It's got to be something that is not threatening. So it's, are you ready to do the paperwork? And you're nodding your head yes. And then shut up. Just shut up. Okay. If anything pops up besides a yes, isolate it and close again. So I hear that, you're not real comfortable with the price. Is that the only thing? Okay. And you're nodding yes. Is that the only thing? Yes. Awesome. Shove everything aside, handle the objection, and then close again. Okay. Now that we got that done, are you ready to do the paperwork? And if they say anything else, any other objections, I would actually go, you said there was just one thing, and big old smile, and then isolate it and close again, and keep on doing isolate, close, isolate, close, isolate, close, until you get that paperwork signed. All right, back over it again. So recapping, the first one sold, it's just a regular CMA. It's what an average agent is going to give you. The second one pending, that's last week's data. We found out, boom, boom. I found out, boom, 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 about these properties out there. Active, this is our competition. This is what any buyer that's out there looking for your property, they're going to see these properties as well. Absorption rate, 3 sell per month in our area. In this month, we're number 5. It's a price war and a beauty contest. We don't want to help your neighbors sell. The next one, let me see. We need to be aggressively priced so the market doesn't fall underneath us. Trends report, that's the one, aggressively priced so the market doesn't fall underneath us, is what the trends report told us from that one that I showed you. Number 6, this is what you're up against. And number 7, and this is all that's sold. And then let it sit. All right. Okay, y'all, you're almost there. My name is Gina Hanson. I am a coach, a trainer, and a speaker. I'm very, very excited to be presenting all of this to you tonight. I hope it helps. Stay to the very end because we do have a bunch of gifts for you. All right, Gare, it's all yours.
Awesome. Thank you, Gina. So you guys mind giving Gina a pat on the back? Clap. Isn't that good stuff? It's funny when you look at something like a mirror. You're going around behind the mirror, looking at it from the other side. It's just stuff that most agents have never thought of. You know, you're dealing with basically it's almost a negative reaction to something like the CMA, but when you do the explanation, it's a very positive thing. I mean, who would say no to that? In fact, Gina, I think you mentioned one time, every time you use that, you ended up getting a listing. Is that right?
If I crossed your threshold, I took your listing. That was it, period. The reason why my rate was
Yeah.
only 85%, which really pissed me off, is because I would set the appointment and sometimes you'd no-show me. Well, you all wouldn't, but they would. And I would go get that appointment back again. But if I crossed your threshold, I took the listing. I put my key box on your door before I walked inside your house, and I put my sign on your front porch. It was a heck of a listing appointment. It really was.
Yep. Yeah, putting it mildly, we call that an assumptive close.
That's a nice way of putting it.
Maybe we'll come up with a new term, the demanding close, I guess.
Ooh.
So, yeah. Hey guys, for all the
Oh,
listeners
yeah.
here, we're actually not done yet. So we got all the teaching segments in. Now we're going to stay on for some Q&A, and we'll stay on for about 20 minutes. So you get to pick the brains of three extraordinary people, and you get me too, if that's okay, to throw in for good measure. But Benetta, you got a question? Go ahead and unmute yourself if you want, you
Yes.
know.
So Gina, I was following you and taking notes every part of the way. So do you want to know what you're up against? What was the next thing after that you said?
Oh, and then I just slapped down the report that only had a couple of houses sold in the last 30 days. So long report of everything in the area, and then short report of what sold. And to be really honest, I never fudged my numbers, but I would tweak that range ever so slightly if I could, like maybe a 2-mile range, maybe it's 2.25. And I would tell people, look, this is within 2.25. Like I never lied, but I sometimes would tweak that range a little bit to get that super long list of active and that short, tiny list of sold. But the one thing I didn't do, you know how you can do a radius? I didn't draw a boundary that like X'd out this property. I never did anything like that. It was accurate. It's just that sometimes you can't get the right kind of data that you need in a straight 2-mile. But if you pull out the tiniest bit, then you're good and you've got it.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome, darling.
Nice. Yep. I'm going to go to the questions here, the chat boxes. There was a couple that came in during the different speaking segments. So Shastine, I think it was Kathy was asking, do you have a rough idea of the budget on a percentage basis, I guess, of marketing? Like how much of your GCI you're marked for budgeting? Does that change over time, or you can share with us a little bit about that? That'd be great.
And remember, guys, there's going to be 2 different forms of budget. So obviously, you know, if you've ever had a coach or just your accountant, they're going to say on average, you shouldn't be spending any more than 32%, but on average for your marketing, you could be spending around 28% on marketing, depending on whether you're going, and this means like if you have a listing, you're doing your aerial tours, video tours, you know, your signs, and you're doing digital ads, and you're doing postcards. And so all of that combined in your business, you know, you're going to have one. And that also includes just marketing you. If you're going to do branding ads or reach ads or things like that, to be top of mind, that will include your client appreciation parties. That will, you know, so that's why that number seems really big. But whenever I did listings for builders specifically, when I sat down with them, on average, our listings for one listing, we would only have a max budget of around 10% of that listing commission amount that we had. So, and that's what we did for builders. And so, you know, and that can change. Not every one of them is going to be that high, depending on, you know, whether you're in a seller's market or whether you're, you know, in a buyer's market. But it's just a good, safe number.
Good. I appreciate that. I know when I first started, it was, I mean, literally everything had just gone on the MLS, and agents were still intimidated and fearful of the internet. And some of them didn't have laptops. I mean, it was like, and when it came around, I was in my background was in computer science. So I was like, hey, this is going to make your job easier, you know? But what's interesting, we didn't have all this discussion of budgets. It was just like, I mean, they literally would hand you a phone book and a phone, flap you on the button and say, start calling. That was pretty much what it was like back then. Now it's a lot more sophisticated, more business-like. So as a general rule, Kathy, and for everyone here, particularly if you're new, we generally start you off with marketing that's either free or very, very low cost. Okay. Because you don't have a budget yet because you probably don't have any GCI, gross commission income yet. So as you progress and you bring in more clients and more transactions and your GCI increases, then you can earmark a larger percentage of your budget. And Chastine's right. It's not unusual for agents who have $1 million plus GCI to spend easily a third on marketing. I remember one time I was speaking to a who was an attorney. He owned a title company, and I was getting ready to build my own title company. And he asked me how much I spent the prior year on marketing. And I said, well, I spent about $160,000. I knew it. He didn't believe me. He said, there's no way you spend that much money. And I said, well, I'm sorry, but that's exactly what I spent. I mean, I'm pretty good with my numbers. And he was used to agents that didn't have any type of plan or budget. So keep that in mind. As you grow on a percentage basis, so will your marketing budget, and allows you to really command a large market share. And do it like Shastine's building a team um, in Washington, so you'll be able to do the same thing. Um, since we got Shastine on the mic, Kay is asking, what happens if a client doesn't like one of your vendors? Do you give like one vendor per category, or do you give them like a choice of two or three, or how would you handle that?
Yeah, so and again, we have one vendor that we give the number out to first. And then we will give, a disclaimer, like if any reason, if you find that you guys are not a good fit or you're not having a good experience, please be sure to let me know. Sometimes people have things take place in their life and they may be excellent. And because of stress or tragedy, things may drop, they may drop the ball. And so again, these are just a launching pad for you. This is somebody that you can call. I know several of my clients have used them before and they had a great experience, but please let me know if they, for some reason aren't working out for you. So, if you always set that up, that will be best. It's more of that, you want to validate your top person first. And your designated brokers will probably tell you that you should definitely give two people because of liability, like if, hey, you referred me to that person, so you can say, so however you say it, whether it's validation of the one that you're referring and you're saying, with that little, disclaimer that they need to have, maybe get another person besides this person to be able to, kind of shop costs or whatnot. Then you absolutely need to do that. But the beauty of having a vendor networking group is that, like, if you are meeting with them every week, you can bet your bottom dollar that they're going to be a little bit more conscientious regarding the job that they're doing, because we're going to be a continual referral source for them. And so that's what's different about vendor groups that you start, is the fact that you become a lot closer knit and you can actually call them out on the carpet. Regarding their prices. I know Moni and I, actually even the group themselves, have called out certain vendors like, nobody's going to have you at that price. You need to adjust your price. That is not going to work. And they appreciate that. And that's part of a vendor networking group. It's not about just give me a referral. It's about promoting one another's businesses by giving tips and strategies, tools, resources that will help them get there faster. And they appreciate that. And then they're going to remember you for that. And so it holds them accountable to give a good quality service. And we talk about it in our group too. If that's your job, you put your name on it and you walk away. Are you going to say, I did that? If you can't, then you better turn your booty around and go back and redo it.
Yeah. And that was one of the things you mentioned towards the end of your presentation, Shastine, too, is, networking and forming groups. And I just want to tell you, when BNI first came out years ago, I don't know, maybe 15 or more years ago, it was really cheap. I think we paid like $10 a month or something. Now it's gotten quite expensive, but you can create your own. I mean, once you have some closings under your belt, right? Some transactions, let's say maybe you get 10 transactions, right? Chances are, a title company, you know a lender, right? You probably know an attorney, you probably know some contractors. Go ahead and form the group. Don't charge any money. Just say, guys, this is the purpose of the group. We're going to give our business to each other and promote each other, support each other. And it's the old adage, a rising tide lifts all ships. But again, it's more marketing you can do that doesn't cost a dime. Somebody's got to take the lead. It might as well be you, you know? So speaking of taking the lead, let's go to Giselle's got her hand raised, and then Gilbert, we'll get to you next after Giselle. Giselle's, she's, by the way, from Washington State. And she's definitely an action taker. I mean, I've talked to more people around the country that say, I know Giselle, I've spoken with Giselle because she reached out to me. Guys, that's the kind of effort it takes, right, to succeed. So Giselle, go ahead and take the mic if you want.
My question is for Shastine. For YouTube, are you posting about houses, or are you posting like information for buyers and sellers? Will you share a little bit more of that, and maybe you can share your YouTube channel with us?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll put my YouTube channel down in the chat. Or Moni, can you do that for me? That'd be awesome. Yeah, for the YouTube channel, I post on communities, and I post on model home tours, builders. And then I'll post some like informational type of videos on there. The most powerful though is, and I post once a week. It has to be once a week. Really, you should be posting more, but it takes a lot of time. But like I talked about in the beginning of this, you know, I had to change my mindset, and I had to say, am I going to create something that's always going to be working for me, even though it takes a little bit more time to do? And answer is yes, and yes, and yes, and yes. So, you know, and so with that, you know, I've been doing the YouTube channel now since it's been a year. And let's see, I posted my first one August. I mean, before that, you know, as all realtors do, we may post a listing here and there. But when I actually started making sure I did it every single week, it was August. So August, September, October, November. So, you know, a year and 4 months. And so, we got our first lead on the at the end of March. I began getting leads in. And so from March until now, on average, I've had a closing, about 7 deals, I think, closed from it. But you guys, all of my deals are over 700 to over $1 million. You know, my current client that I have under contract now is 1.8. I have one buyer that they're buying 2 houses that is going to, you know, be 1.6. And they are dedicated to us. And what I'm doing is, like for Moni now, Moni, even though she's shy, you know, I'm starting to incorporate her and try to make her get into it, because do I want to be a buyer's agent? No, not really. I mean, I like it, but that's not what gives me energy. I did it to create something evergreen so that I can support, you know, a team. And then also I can be able to create value for my sellers to say, hey, you know, I have a YouTube channel, and it gets, you know, these buyers from out of state with the higher price point. That's what separates me, you know. And so it was just something that I began to do.
Awesome. Thank you.
Nice. Thanks, Giselle, for the question. And so guys, if you do have a question, you can do a hand raise. If you look down at on your panel of options in Zoom, it's one of the things you can do. I think you click reactions. It's one of the reactions is a hand raise, or you can type in a chat box. So next is Gilbert Evans, all the way from the Sin City. Well, I hate to call it that. It's Vegas. Las Vegas is a good city now.
It's a beautiful day in Las Vegas. Hey, John, I was curious about as far as mindset, were you giving us an example of where crisis equaled opportunity in your life? Oh, maybe my audio's not working.
I
Yours
can
is,
hear you, Gilbert.
yeah, you're fine, Gilbert.
Yeah,
Oh.
you're muted. There's John.
That was
Okay.
weird. That was weird. I'm sorry about that. I'm sorry. Can you repeat that question, Gilbert?
As far as mindset, can you give us an example of where you turn crisis into opportunity?
it's really developing that mindset. Once you start to kind of changing the way you think and removing all those negative words that are in your head, and then doing your affirmations, what happens is you start to think differently. So it's not as easy as the next time a crisis comes, then you're going to automatically accept that as an opportunity. It's really all has to do with the mindset. So as you continue, and it's a progress, it takes some time. So as you're developing your mindset and you're building up that mental toughness, the mental toughness is key. So when you experience that, it's basically conditioning the mind. So for an example, I went to Unleash the Power Within with Tony Robbins, big event that he has every year. And so what happened was it was 3 or 4 days of just mental conditioning. And so obviously this kind of takes a while, it takes some time. However, he's figured it out how you can just get in there, and he was just pouring into us constantly, which was conditioning us. And I had no idea what the plan was. And then all of a sudden, after an all day of just pouring into us and conditioning our mindset, he says, take off your shoes and head outside. And we're like, what's going on? And all of a sudden, his team already had the hot coals burning, all laid out for everybody to go. And then immediately he's like, okay, get ready. Take you got your shoes off and your socks off. So now you're going to be walking on coal. And so we walked on fire, literally. I mean, like hot red coals. Now, I couldn't do that if I didn't go through that. I mean, I'll be honest, is that if somebody said, hey, go for that, I don't know about that. And if I probably attempted it, I probably would have burned myself. However, because of that mental conditioning that was taking place all day, boom, no problem. I stepped on it. I walked maybe 10 feet in length, and I just walked all the way through. Did not scorch my feet, did not burn my feet, didn't hurt. I mean, it was an amazing experience. So when crisis happens, we're not going to respond right away. But after you put yourself on a plan of building up your mindset.
A band called Houseplant does not.
Excuse me?
Oh, sorry.
And just, and doing your proclamations and changing and being vocabulary conscious, you will start to noticing that you're going to be responding to things differently. It'll start happening. And so now for me, when I faced crisis, I didn't know what to do. I was like the deer staring at the headlights. But as I started to develop my mindset and started building up that mental toughness, the next time a situation came up, I'm like, okay, it's okay, no problem. Like for me with the whole lawsuit with the commission, immediately I started freaking out. I literally started freaking out. And then I started being the negative Nelly and saying, oh my gosh, what are we going to do? This is ridiculous. And then I started blaming the attorneys, and I started blaming the media, started blaming everybody. And then it was because of that mental toughness that I had, that's already that my subconscious mind is stopping me and saying, wait a minute, what are you doing? What are you thinking? You got to start thinking differently. And immediately I just shifted that. And then I started thinking positively, and then started thinking alternative ways of continuing to strive in my business. Does that make sense? I mean, I wish it's something that can happen. I mean, literally, I'm still doing research and figuring out how I can do a one-day seminar, have you walk away totally changed. However, sometimes it takes some time to continue to feed, and it depends on the individual. It depends on what you went through. It depends all your past conditioning from a childhood. Everybody's different. Some people are going to take a little bit. Some people are going to be a lot quicker, because it's definitely going in there and it's changing all that negative programming that you're in there, washing it out and replacing it with the new one. But once you do that, it's amazing, my friend. I promise you, it is amazing. And you start to take on things differently. You start accepting opportunities. When your coach trainer says, this is what I need you to do, pick up the phone and do 100 contacts in one day, you're going to be like, no problem. You might be hesitant a little bit, but then you're going to say, I got this. And then you jump in. So it takes some time.
Thanks, John.
Oh, you're welcome.
Yeah. And Neil, if you're interested in and John, I'll share this too with you if you don't mind. Great. Wayne Dyer was one of the great, inspirational, motivational speakers of our time. and did a lot of stuff on public television for free because he just what he was doing was so important. He gave it away. You know, he's had a lot of books. He wrote and sold books, of course. But there's a meditation you can go out and find on the internet. Just Google Wayne Dyer called Wishes Fulfilled. Wishes like I wish upon a star, wishes fulfilled. And listen to the story about how that um it's basically tones, it's like music. And just briefly, without going on a rabbit hole, he got it from reading a book called the Moses Code. And I can't remember the author's name. And what they did is they took the old Hebrew um, spelling of the word God, which is I am. I am Gary, right? It took that and took the code, the numbers, and put music to it based on the what that translated into the musical notes. And they created this meditation you can listen to. And while you're listening to it, you can say affirmations. And this is really important. I learned this the hard way myself. I used to write, I will do this, I will become that, like it's all in the future. That's really not what you want to do. And you don't, and even people would say, I'm going to write be a stronger person, you know, be a more loving person. Those are all great things. But really, the key to success and all that is to start off with I am, right? I am a strong person, right? I am a loving person. And and I'm not trying to preach the sermon here, but I'm just telling you guys, if all you did was just read, you know, the Bible, you can read the Quran, the Torah, the Gita too. It's all in there, but specifically in the Bible, you know, there's certain verses that say when you pray, give thanks. It's not, you don't want to keep asking for the same thing over and over again in prayer. You give thanks when you, the really good one is, you know, whatever it is you desire, when you pray, believe you receive it and you shall receive it. Okay. Now, I know it could get in trouble from being too preachy or someone to not do that. I'm just telling you, all the science is based on that people have known for thousands of years, you know, all of our forefathers and predecessors and the followers, you know, all knew this. And it's all comes from there. That's the key source, right? So in any case, I think Kay, you have your hand up too, Kay. Did you still have a question? Kay Peck? I think
No, she answered it. I just, when you said, you know, put your questions up, I rose my, let me lower it. There you go.
Oh, okay. Oh, thank you. And we did have another question in the chat box. It was, I think, where did it go? Oh, Amanda. Hey, Amanda, good to see you. Beautiful Pennsylvania is asking Gina if you have a handout for that. Let me see. Do you have a handout, Gina, that explains the different reports?
Oh, good question. I don't have a handout. I have this recording, which Gary, everyone's going to get the recording, aren't they?
Yeah, if you guys want to, let me do this. Let me share my screen.
Okay, cool beans. And here's why. What I did when I first put all this together is I just went on the MLS and I was really bored one night and I thought, well, I'll just go look at the reports because that'll put me to sleep. Only it didn't. It kept me up all night long. So I went to the reports in our MLS and what I did, because there were named stupid things like report 12347, you know, and I was just like, what the heck does that even mean? So I just printed every single one off. And then I wrote at the top of it what that MLS happened to call that report. And then I just laid everything out and I looked at it and I'm like, what can I use and what can I put together to tell a story? And so out of that, I came up with trends, et cetera, and those kinds of things and put it together. So I highly encourage you to go to your MLS, look at every single, you don't have to print it off, but I had to, but just look at every single thing that there is, and then look for what you can use and put together and what story you can tell. So on this, when you get the recording, just grab that section that talks about each one of them and then what they, you know, what each one is and how you can put it together on the listing appointment. The hardest one is the one I broke down, the trends report. That's the one that people, they get confused all the time. I constantly see 0 to 30, 0 to 60, and 0 to 90, and they can't figure out how to read it. Well, because that's not the intention. It's just not. It's 0 to 30, 30 to 60, 60 to 90, or 31 to 60 and 61 to 90, actually, or separate months. Separate months is an easy one to sort it out. So there you go. You're welcome, Amanda.
And I think that was all the questions. Does anybody else have any more questions? If you do, you can type them in. But I just want to, again, thank the speakers tonight. You know, Gina, Shastine, and John. I mean, you guys did an awesome job. And for those of you who are not on the team, but there's a lot of team members on the night. In fact, if you have questions for other team members, this would be a good time to ask them. You could even type in if you're a guest, you can type in the chat box your name and number or email and ask someone to contact you, anybody that you see on here. Also, I think Beverly's going to send out if you did register for the class tonight, Soccer 2024, you're going to get an email tomorrow from Beverly with the recording. She's also going to give you an invite to our Monday Night Live class. So what we did tonight, guys, we actually do more of a class type setting every Monday night for free, 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific. And it's all straight education. There's no recruiting, no selling, no buying. It's just straight up education. So look for that tomorrow. Register for class. We have guests on all the time. You can ask questions. Just treat yourself just like you're one of the team members. And
I'm actually the
and
one talking next week.
Oh, Gina's teaching. Hey guys, this is extra double bonus. So Gina's going to teach next Monday night. If you're on tonight as a guest, make sure you register for next Monday night. So Gina will have the whole hour. We generally go an hour and a half, so you'll have plenty of time to dig in and ask questions and engage with other people who get the benefit from this every week. And by the way, why don't we go through? We'll start with John. What it is they're going to be getting in the Bitly link here. If you don't mind, we'll go John, and I'll do mine, and then Shastine, and then Gina, so everybody knows what they're getting with this link here.
Okay, so basically, and I'm sorry, it is next week, so it is pretty quick. It's only because of my schedule. However, it's going to be very awesome. If you're struggling with procrastination, how many of us do struggle with that? Everybody, right? And so my topic is going to be end procrastination and getting rid of all your bad habits. I'm going to teach you some simple fundamentals on how to change your habits and not have to wait very long time, because traditionally they've been teaching that it takes 21 days to replace some bad habits with some good habits. I'm going to teach you something that's been proven and tried and true, and I've used it with my team and people that I've coached, and it's getting rid of bad habits in 3 days. Very simple. And so that way you can end procrastination and you can go on to do the things that you want to do. Because a lot of times paralysis analysis, that just keeps us frozen, throws us back in our comfort zone, right? And so there's so many things that we want to do. Like some people want to go ahead and start a YouTube channel, and then we're so afraid of it. There's something that's happening. Procrastination has nothing to do with time or has nothing to do with abilities or talent. It has to do with something that's blocking. Then that's the amygdala, that the gatekeeper that's saying, wait a minute, what are you doing? You're crazy. Are you insane? You're going to do this? And those are the thoughts that comes into our mind. And so I'll be talking about ending procrastination and getting rid of your bad habits. Then also after that, we can talk a little bit more. We can elaborate more on the presentation that I have, because all I had was 20 minutes and I can give you some more time.
Thanks, John. And then for what I'm given is I've written several books, 8 books, and the 8th book was actually also written by 8 of our team members, including Gina, by the way. So in any case, what we're giving away on the GIA team side is in one of the initial books, Investor Agent, Make More Money, Not More Work. So it's the beginning of a series of education segments you'll get. I think there's like 16 or 17 segments. So just do the first one, you get the initial book, it's like 10 pages, and then the other 17 follow suit. And then Shastine has something she's going to give you too. So Shastine, if you wouldn't mind elaborating on that, that'd be great. And then Gina. Let me see if
I was just
hopefully
trying to respond
Shastine's-
to Robert.
Oh, I'm
So
sorry.
Robert, there's going to be a registration link for the Zoom that's on Friday. And then also there should be an attachment. And again, I haven't gone there to see but there should be an attachment in there that when you go in there and you open up the attachment, it has every single created a content piece that I've created for some of the things that I talked about tonight. Not everything that I talked about tonight, but some of the things. And so when you go in, you should have both. And Gina set that up, so I'm sure that Gary will be able to verify if you can get back to him and let him know. But there should be two different things.
Yeah, the examples of your marketing is there, Shastine.
Okay.
But the link, when you click on the register link, it does not take you to a register page. What it does, it takes you directly to the Zoom link.
Yes, exactly. And that's how I did it. I didn't make you have to register.
Okay.
I just made it so that on that day, you just click that little
okay.
button and come on in.
Right. Okay, cool. Thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thanks, Shastine.
What
And then,
time is it on
Gina.
Friday?
On Friday,
sorry.
it's 11 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, but depending on where you are, it's 11 o'clock here. Don't know where you are, but
Doesn't matter. You're there. All right. Mine is a book, Magic Words That Open Doors. It is filled, I think it's about 60 pages of objections handlers. So it's all of my objection handlers all put in one place, easy for you to get to. So that's what you're getting from me. And as Rob Lane said, why would I need objections? And I'm like, I don't know. Do you take every single listing? And he's like, no. So that's what I've got.
Okay. Well, guys, I think that's about it. We believed we would go to 9. It's about 12 after 9 now. So for all the again speakers, thank you very much. That was awesome. And I'm eternally grateful, and I'm also grateful for the opportunity to be participating in this myself. And for all the participants, thank you for joining and posting all your questions, engaging. Again, come join us Monday Night Live. We deep dive into specific subjects each class. It's every Monday, other than Christmas and Easter and Thanksgiving. I think those are the only days we don't have Monday Night Live. Every other, even on like President's Day, we just have one on Martin Luther King Day. We celebrate those days, but we still have classes too. So in any case, you're welcome to join there. And if you could do me a favor, I'm going to type my actually, I'll give you my email address. It is, and I'll type this to everyone, Gary@rewgw.com. And I think everybody, Shastine, John, and Gina, all put in some contact information there. That'd be a good idea. I think I saw that. But for all the guests, if you could email me, just let me know how you find out about this. Because we like to know how our marketing is doing. If you were invited by someone on the team, or you saw one of our Facebook posts, or got an email, that would just say email, Facebook post, or Giselle invited me, something like that, whoever invited you. I would really appreciate that. You don't have to do it now, just anytime tonight or tomorrow. Look for the email from Beverly. Go to that bit.ly link to get the giveaways. And good luck to you in 2024. And we know you're going to succeed. It's all in the mindset. When you believe it, you'll achieve it. So you guys have a good night. We'll see you next week on Monday Night Live. For those of you on the team, I'll see you in the one-on-ones as well. God bless you and your families, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks, Gary.
Thanks so much,
Great job,
Gary.
everyone.
Thanks, Gary.
Thank
you.
Bye.
Thank you so much.
So much, Gary.
Week.
Thank you.
Thanks, Gary. Thanks, everybody.
Thank
welcome.
you.
Thank you. Good night.
Bye, everyone.